best. Starting off with the weakest evolution in the game, at number 39, we have the Evolved Goblin Giant. This evolution was essentially deleted from the meta after receiving a triple nerf a few months ago. It's never recovered, and it currently has a 0% use rate. There's virtually no reason to use either the evolution or even the regular Goblin Giant right now. Ranked at number 38, we have the Bats evolution. The evolved bats have fallen off dramatically. The main problem is that they have a lot of competition from the minions. After their buffs, the minions and minion horde now outperform Evo bats in almost every situation. On top of that, the meta is full of counters like Evo Zap, arrows, and various spirits, making it extremely hard for Evo bats to get value. Next up at number 37, we have the Evolved Goblin Drill. It did receive a small buff a few months back, giving it one extra goblin when it resurfaces, but unfortunately that hasn't made a meaningful difference. The evolution remains significantly worse than the regular Goblin Drill, and well, if the basic card is better than the evolution, then it basically means that the evolved version is really garbage. Next up at number 36, we have the Evolved Bomber, which is also quite poor. Since Supercell removed its double bounce effect, it's been far weaker. You're better off using the regular Bomber and saving your evolution slots for cards that actually provide value. Evo Bomber no longer works well in any beatdown decks like Golem or Lava Hound. It has like a 2% use rate and is basically unusable. Coming in at number 35, we have the Ice Spirit evolution. The evolved Ice Spirit dropped heavily in viability after they nerfed the regular Ice Spirit's freeze duration by 0.1 seconds. Because the evolution freezes twice, that was effectively a double nerf. The Ice Spirit evolution has a terrible 2% use rate and a 48% win rate. The regular Ice Spirit is just better. You're almost always better off running something like Evo Skeletons as your cycle card instead of the evolved Ice Spirit. At number 34, we have the Evolved Furnace. It became noticeably worse after they increased its movement speed. Now it rarely sees play outside of niche bridge spam deck. You may also see it in a few Goblin Drill decks, but that's really it. Its stats are terrible too. It currently has a 1% use rate and a 49% win rate. As a 4 elixir card, it now also faces tough competition from the Hero Musketeer, which is just way better in every scenario. You're almost always better off running other evolutions, and you're also better off liking this video and subscribing to this channel because I post tips and tricks that'll help you become a better player at Clash Royale. At number 33, we have the Dart Goblin evolution. The evolved Dart Goblin has been weak ever since they've removed its long-lasting Poison Cloud. Instead of lasting for about 5 seconds, the poison's effect is removed after only a second or two. With such a short effect, the evolution hardly outperforms the regular Dart Goblin. In most bait decks, the non-Evo version is actually more useful because it lets you run stronger evolutions like Evo Goblin Barrel, Evo Valkyrie, and Evo Wall Breakers. Next up at number 32, we have the Evolved Hunter, who is also quite underwhelming. Even in Royal Giant decks, players prefer other evolutions such as Evo Ghost or Evo Royal Giant. Many players run the regular Hunter instead because the evolution lost its permanent immobilizing mechanic. Without that signature effect, it's simply not worth an Evo slot. At number 31, we have the Evolved Mega Knight. Unfortunately, he's also not in the best state right now. In many matchups, it's actually worse than the regular Mega Knight, especially against cards like Evo Witch or Boss Bandit, where the evolution's knockback timings work against you. It can be situationally good against Hog Rider, Royal Giant, or Golem, but it's inconsistent and struggles against air decks and fast cycle decks. The Hero Giant can counter him pretty easily with his ability, thus making him useless. At number 30, we have the Evolved P.E.K.K.A, which is slightly better than the Evo Mega Knight, but still, it's a very situational evolution. Many players still prefer using the regular P.E.K.K.A along with other evolutions like Evo Zap, Evo Battle Ram, or Evo Ghost. Ever since the Goblin Giant P.E.K.K.A deck got nerfed, the Evolved P.E.K.K.A became irrelevant too. P.E.K.K.A's problem is that she's too slow, and slow cards don't fare well in an extremely defensive meta full of buildings and swarms. At number 29, we have the Royal Recruits evolution. The evolved recruits also fell off hard after they were changed to require more time to charge. The current meta is full of efficient counters like Evo Skeleton Army, Evo Ghost, Evo Baby Dragon, Evo Valkyrie, thus making recruits struggle to find value in almost any matchup. People are no longer using the no-skill Royal Recruits Piggies deck because the meta is terrible for it. Their use rates have fallen down to 3% and their win rate sits at 50%. At number 28, we have the Evolved Evolved Wizard. It's not as terrible as it used to be, and recently it's found a little success in Giant beatdown decks. The Hero Giant pairs really well with the Wizard, and their synergy with Tornado is absurdly broken. Outside Giant decks, the Wizard Evo is hardly used. It's inconsistent, niche, and generally inferior to other options like Musketeer. Coming in at number 27, we have the Evolved Barbarians, which aren't very strong either. While they occasionally appear in Lava Hound or Bridge Spam decks, they're fragile dispels and are usually outclassed by stronger, more versatile evolutions. Being a 5 elixir card, they're very hard to fit in most archetypes. Despite costing 5 elixir, the value they can provide remains largely matchup dependent. At number 26 is the Evolved Electro Dragon. It used to be even worse, but recently it's become playable again in Golem and Elixir Golem decks. Still, it's extremely matchup dependent. It performs decently versus beatdown, but is almost useless against cycle decks. Lightning is not as popular as it was a month or two ago, so that really works in favor of the Electro Dragon evolution. Moving on, at number 25, we have the Lumberjack evolution. The Evolved Lumberjack also suffered after being changed to a 2-cycle evolution and having its Ghost Rage interactions nerfed. It can still work in Golem or certain Bridge Spam decks, but there are simply better evolutions to choose from. It has shown to do decently in Giant decks, and with a Hero Giant in the meta now, we may see a comeback from the Lumberjack evolution. At number 24, we have the Evolved Musketeer. She is excellent in Balloon Cycle, but her usefulness drops sharply outside that archetype. She can theoretically fit into Giant Graveyard or Expo, but her long shot attack can be easily blocked by cheap troops like Skeleton or Goblins. But that's not it. Now the Evolved Musketeer is actually facing a huge issue. Supercell just released her Hero version, and you can't have both the Hero and the Evolved version of a card in the same deck. The Hero Musketeer is really strong, and players are leaning towards using her rather than the Evolved Musketeer. By the end of this month, I expect the Evolved Musketeer to see a massive drop in her use rate. While she still is solid, having her Hero version is gonna kill her Evolved version. At number 23 is the Knight evolution. The Evolved Knight used to be one of the strongest evolutions in the game, but it faces a similar problem as the Evolved Musketeer. He's got his own Hero version too now, and once the Hero Knight entered the meta, most players switched to the Hero version because he's extremely broken. The Hero Knight is undoubtedly the best hero, and I doubt anyone's gonna use the Evolved Knight over him. The difference is already clear in their use rates. The Hero Knight has a 14% use rate, while the Evolved Knight's use rates fell down to 2% only. The Knight evolution remains a great Evo, but it's just unfortunate that it has its own Hero version to compete with. Ranked at number 22, the Evolved Goblin Barrel became weaker after they nerfed the Decoy Goblin's damage. With Log, Arrows, and Barbarian Barrel everywhere, Bait archetypes are struggling, which naturally lowers the strength of this evolution. It's still playable, but no longer top tier. At number 21, the Evolved Battle Ram is very strong in Bridge Spam, often outperforming Evo P.E.K.K.A. as an Evo choice. Players frequently run Evo Battle Ram with regular P.E.K.K.A. It also works well with Evo Lumberjack or Golden Knight. It's balanced overall. It's dangerous when supported, but held in check by buildings and reset cards. Ranked at number 20, the Evolved Firecracker is also kinda mid. Since she now survives Evo Cannon after its nerf, she has slightly improved. However, she's still not flexible. You primarily run her in Hog Earthquake decks. Outside that deck, the Firecracker evolution is nowhere to be seen. She currently has a 4% use rate, which is mainly boosted because of how popular Hog Rider decks are. Coming in at number 19, we have the Goblin Cage evolution. The Evolved Goblin Cage is decent, mainly in Royal Recruits decks and Electro Giant decks. Against Cycle or Air decks, it does almost nothing beyond what a regular Cage provides. It's heavily matchup dependent and not particularly threatening. Still, I would suggest using it if you're a mid-range trophy player because it can counter cards like Mega Knight and Golem really well. Therefore, it's one of the best cards to upgrade as a free-to-play player. Next up, we have the Archers evolution at number 18. The Evolved Archers are held back primarily by their lack of versatility. They are almost exclusively used in Expo decks. They can certainly destroy tanks really quickly from a distance, which helps them be an important card in Expo. After the Evo Cannon nerf, they are a bit better, but still too specialized to climb higher up in the rankings. For a long time, they've been considered as the preferred ranged cards for Expo deck, but this might change soon because of the Hero Musketeer. The Hero Musketeer is better than the Evolved Archers because she provides an extra layer of defense with her turret. Will she replace the Evolved Archers in Expo? Only time will tell. At number 17, we have the Baby Dragon evolution. The Evolved Baby Dragon got nerfed recently. It no longer speeds up allies as effectively, so you can't just drop it into any deck for free value. It's still strong in Golem and Graveyard, but less universally dominant. The nerf was much needed because the Evolved Baby Dragon was literally broken, but now it seems balanced and has a decent 4% use rate. Next up at number 16, we have the Witch evolution. The Evolved Witch is currently a decent evolution. She performs well against the Hero Mini P.E.K.K.A. and Hero Giant, which are fairly popular, giving her some relevance again. However, she is mostly limited to Golem and occasionally Graveyard. She's far less common than she used to be a couple of months back. I still think she's a solid evolution and can be really game-breaking in certain matchups. At number 15, the Evolved Inferno Dragon is an excellent choice in beatdown decks. In Graveyard Freeze, it's especially dangerous, and it works well in Lava Hound decks too. However, it struggles against Cycle decks and anything with a reset, making it very matchup dependent, but still, it remains a deadly evolution which can win you games if your opponent makes even a single mistake. Currently, the Inferno Dragon evolution has a 5% use rate and a 51% win rate, which are quite good stats. At number 14, we have the Valkyrie evolution. The Evolved Valkyrie became weaker after losing her extra health and having her tornado radius reduced. She's still above average and strong in Lava Hound decks and Hognado decks, but she no longer appears everywhere like before. She remains a defensive powerhouse, although she might struggle in a meta filled with Hero Giant. Moving on, at number 13, the Evolved Wall Breakers used to be one of the most dominant evolutions in the game, but after nerfs to her damage and death damage, they've become much more balanced. They can still deal a lot of damage if left unchecked. Their ability to get positive elixir trades in mostly every situation still makes them quite useful. And for that reason, even after the nerf, we are seeing a 5% use rate for the Evolved Wall Breakers. At number 12, we have the Royal Ghost evolution. The Evolved Royal Ghost received multiple nerfs. The soldier damage and spawn damage were all toned down. It remains a strong option in Royal Giant and Brute Spam, but it's no longer overwhelming or universally used. With a Hero Mini P.E.K.K.A. and Hero Knight being extremely popular right now, the Evolved Royal Ghost might have a hard time competing against these mini tanks. Ranked at number 11, the Evolved Executioner remains very strong even after having its close range damage nerfed. The value he provides is still unreal, and he can counter most offensive pushes single-handedly. His value mostly comes from the knockback he provides, and well, that is an ability that I don't think Supercell will ever touch, because that's what makes the Evolved Executioner unique. He is great in Brit Spam, Hog Exonado, and Graveyard decks. He does great against heroes too, so expect him to be quite dominant in this meta. Next up at number 10 is the Evolved Mortar. It performs significantly better this meta thanks to the Evo Cannon nerf. Evo Mortar synergizes beautifully with Evo Knight and Evo Musketeer, and many players have adopted it early this season. It's not overpowered, but it is a reliable win condition. A meta full of swarm cards has greatly benefited the Evolved Mortar, and it's one of the best archetypes to play right now. At number 9, the Evolved Royal Giant has been one of the best win condition evolutions for months. The knockback effect adds surprising defensive value against both ground and air support units. It does great against swarms, which are super popular in this meta. Nearly every Royal Giant player uses the evolution, which speaks for itself. Despite being nerfed, the Evolved Cannon is ranked at number 8 and is still one of the strongest buildings in the game. It continues to see massive play in Hog Cycle, Log Bait, and Royal Hogs. It's no longer broken, but still extremely reliable. It does well against both Cycle and Beatdown decks, making it a must-upgrade evolution in Clash Royale. Ranked at number 7, the Evolved Skeletons are finally back! With Cycle decks becoming relevant again, the Evolved Skeletons are seeing a massive rise in their use rate. They fit into almost every deck: Royal Hogs, Goblin Drill, Log Bait, Miner Cycle, Balloon Cycle, you name it. At just 1 elixir, they offer absurd value, and with multiple cycles per match, they constantly pressure opponents lacking small spells. Coming in at number 6, we have the Evolved Royal Hogs, which are incredibly strong. Their flying mechanic plus their landing damage make them difficult to stop efficiently. Paired with Earthquake, they are one of the best win conditions in the entire game. Because of their flying ability, they can counter even buildings. Well, most buildings, except the next one on our list. Entering the top 5, we have the Tesla Evolution. I would say it's currently stronger than the Evolved Cannon. In fact, the Evo Cannon nerf indirectly buffed the Evo Tesla, giving it more room in the meta. Many Hog players have switched from Cannon to Tesla, though both are still viable depending on personal preference. Evo Tesla is also a strong counter to the Evolved Skeleton Barrel and Evolved Royal Hogs, which are everywhere right now, and it performs very well against Evo Skeleton Army thanks to its large pulse radius. The stun, the reset, the pulse damage, plus its ability to bury underground, all in one card, make the Evolved Tesla incredibly valuable and one of the best defensive evolutions in the game at the moment. Next up at number 4 is the Evolved Snowball, which has made a surprising comeback in Goblin Drill decks. It pairs extremely well with Hero Knight and Balloon decks. Its synergy with the Goblin Drill is one of the most broken combos in Clash Royale. That combo is basically always guaranteed damage and there is nothing you can really do about it. The Evolved Snowball has a godly 12% use rate at the moment and is definitely one of the best Evos in the game. Ranked at number 3, the Evolved Skeleton Barrel has effectively replaced Evo Wall Breakers after their nerfs. The evolution synergizes perfectly with cards like Evo Mortar, which has seen a major resurgence. It's easily one of the most threatening evolutions in the current meta. Taking the number 2 spot, we have the Evolved Skeleton Army, which is absolutely broken right now. Some players still underestimate how strong it is, but most top players have fully realized how oppressive it can be, especially when placed behind a tank. In many scenarios, it feels nearly unkillable. Its versatility also makes it dangerous. You can use this evolution in cycle decks, control decks, beatdown decks, basically anything. There aren't many reliable counters to this deck, because Evo's Skami is so strong, it practically baits players into using one of its 2 counters, arrows, and the final number 1 ranked evolution on this list, the Evolved Zap. The Zap evolution currently has a 19% use rate. For only 2 elixir, it can eliminate Firecracker, Evolved Archers, and even an Evolved Skeleton